In 2003, on a beautiful, sunny, typical Southern California day, I was buying oranges in the Santa Monica farmer's market when I heard screaming, which is no big deal. I mean, it's Santa Monica, it's 3rd Street, what do you expect? When I looked up and I saw tents and people and fruit flying through the air, I thought to myself, oh my God, it's a tidal wave. Wait, the ocean's on the other side. And a maroon car came barreling out from underneath a tent next to me at 60 miles an hour, and it swerved, hitting the man standing right next to me. I would find out later that this man would have killed 10 people and injured over 60 of us. That day, my brain basically broke. I didn't have a head injury, but I was diagnosed with severe post-traumatic stress disorder that manifested into not being able to read, forgetting basic words, stuttering when I talked, and I was having up to 3 flashbacks a day that would send me into panic attacks that would only stop when I passed out. 8 months went by, and I hadn't slept. And that day, I ransacked my entire apartment looking for a bottle of sleeping pills that my now husband so wisely hid from me. And as I sat there looking at the living room that looked like a tornado had gone through it, I realized I couldn't do this anymore. And so the obvious thing is to check yourself into the psych ward. As I stood at the double doors saying goodbye to my husband, not sure if I was going to see him again because my roommate might shank me. I mean, my only reference to the psych ward was Girl Interrupted, and it wasn't a very good one. As I turned to walk through the doors where there's this big red sign with white writing on it that says no eloping, all I can think is they have weddings in the psych ward? I just am so confused. And the doors shut behind me, and my husband walks away, and I get checked in and put in a room with a woman who is already sleeping, thinking, oh my God, I don't know if I'm gonna wake up in the morning. I did, and my roommate was great, fantastic woman. That night was the first night that I had slept a full night's sleep in 8 months. And I woke up with this bounce in my step that I didn't think I was gonna get back again. And I walked into the doctor's office and I said, I feel better. I'm going to go home. And he said, you're going to go to group therapy. And that became kind of our thing for the next couple of weeks because he knew something I didn't know, and that was when you're trying to heal from trauma, it takes a while, and sleep is very important. And I realized this one day about a week later when the doctors gave me a new medication to regulate my panic. Well, it had the opposite effect on me. And at that point, I hadn't learned how to ask for help. I hadn't learned it as a skill growing up. In my culture of Minnesota, we pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and we get on with things, and we do not dwell on the fact that we saw 3 people die and we don't know if we're ever going to be able to speak again. This is not something we worry about. We worry about getting up in the morning and making our bed and going and farming. And I am a farm girl, and that is it. So asking for help was not a thing. As this medication took over my body and did the opposite of what it was supposed to do, it made me feel like I wanted to rip my skin off. And I was pacing back and forth in front of the nurse's station. I was the only person I feel like they had ever dealt with that had PTSD, and they just didn't know what to do with me. And the more I paced, the more they didn't notice. And the more I paced, the more they didn't notice, until I finally didn't know what to do. And I walked into the kitchen and I grabbed a plastic butter knife and I sawed at my wrist until there was blood. They noticed. And I woke up strapped to a bed in the room you never want to go into. And as I laid there, strapped to this bed, I thought to myself, this can't be my life. This is just, it's too much. How is it that I overcame things when I was younger? And I remembered the collages. They always brought me such comfort. And so I thought, when they unstrap me, I am going to make a collage. And so I did. They unstrapped me and I walked to the nurse's station and I said, I want to make a collage. And they looked at me like I was an alien, and I didn't care. I was determined. And I said, they were like, okay. And I said, great, do you have magazines that I can rip or I can get pictures from? Absolutely. Do you have glue? Yeah, in the art room. Great. Do you have tagboard? We think so. Awesome. Can I have a pair of scissors? No. You can't even have shoelaces in the psych ward. Realize where you are. Okay. This was a kink in the plan, guys, because straight lines are very important to me. Organization, remember? But I was determined, and so I sat at that long table in the art room, and I started to rip ever so carefully these pictures of things that I wanted back in my life: joy, hope, happiness, calm. And I started to line them up, and I realized they didn't line up perfectly. And so I made this collage unlike any I'd ever made before. It was completely chaotic. And when I got done, it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever created. And it currently is framed, hanging in my bedroom. And every time I look at it, I realize there is such beauty in the chaos if we're only willing to look.